Okay, so I'm just messing around with some things on the computer. I'm not the most tech savvy, Jay. I want you to know that. Jay says hi. Jay is our second baby boy. Very fortunate to be here with you, sir. I'm very fortunate. Jay had a little difficulties on birth. He didn't want to. Well, one of the things was we just went to the I was about to say gynecologist, but I know that's for women. The baby doctor, what's that called? Pediatrician. And so he's got a really large noggin, just like his daddy. I have an abnormally, not abnormally, but my hat size is like 8 3/4 or something like that. It's just ridiculously big. And Jay is in the 90th percentile as well with his noggin. So he struggled exiting mama. Um, but I think that eventually, all things come full circle, and I think you're gonna be blessed to have a big noggin. Okay, so that's what I say. But he just loves to be held. He really does. So, but the main purpose of my endeavors here is just I've been messing around with like microphones and all kinds of stuff, and I'm just like, you know what? What if I just try using my MacBook with the microphone that it's got and the camera it has now? My MacBook is the previous generation. It's the 2019. I looked it up because I forgot. Like, I'm not really a computer guy. I do appreciate computers, PC or you know Mac, I guess, or Apple. Excuse me. I don't know if they dropped the Macintosh, so I just get confused. I know when I was a kid it was a Macintosh, but now it's just Apple, I guess. Um, no, but the point of this video is I know I hear a lot of people talking about what are good watches that are investments, and maybe I just haven't followed enough people, but I realize that currently, Omega and Swatch, they really have mixed things up, and I appreciate that. I appreciate them at least taking the first steps to introduce beautiful, elegant, gorgeous watches to the average person. And when I say average person, I think still 100 and or excuse me, $260 is still quite an investment for a watch. So I think that's still realistically, if you're not wealthy and a lover of watches or investments, I think still $260 for the average person is a lot of money. And that's just my opinion. Obviously, no one has to agree with me. And everything that I say is obviously just my opinion. So I appreciate when people disagree with me. I appreciate when people take the time to formulate their opinions and put them in videos. But if you're not able to do that and you're just able to make comments, then I appreciate you still. Because at the end of the day, I think that YouTube is a great place because we're all able to exchange ideas. And as long as you're doing it positively and respectful, I don't see anything wrong with that. So I definitely agree with a lot of people who say that Seiko and Omega, well, now you're going to say Swatch, but Omega and Seiko definitely bargains, right? And there's a lot of other bargains. And when I say bargain, I don't mean bargain compared to the other competitors. But I just wanted to bring up the fact that I do think Casio is doing an amazing job here. And this is just what I wanted to highlight, Jay. I do have, so shout out to my wife. Thank you for buying me this G-Shock. I haven't done like any sort of initial stuff because I wanted to wear it. I want to wear it maybe for like a few weeks, a month, just to give my first initial impressions, and then obviously later on do a review. But I want to have a good amount of time. It's just like a car to me. Like, I feel like you have to live with something day in and day out to be able to really. And this is just me. I'm just saying. No one has to agree with me. Jay, you don't have to agree with me. Sorry, I just like to do butterfly kisses because then he gives me a smile, and I appreciate that. And I don't have this planned out, so we are just here off the cuff, enjoying ourselves. But the watch that my wife bought me for my birthday, which is not here yet, and my birthday is what I mean. The watch is on my wrist. Is the GSB. Here, look. Let me just pull up the watch my wife got for me. Um, it is the G Steel series. Shout out to G Steel. Not to be confused with G Fuel. Shout out to you, anyone who is sponsored by G Fuel. But this is the watch no, that's not it. Excuse me. See, this is how you know it's not planned. The GST 300 is what my wife got for me, which I don't see here at the moment, but it's the GST B300. So maybe it's discontinued. I have no idea. But the main purpose of this video is I wanted to go into what I consider to be really, in my opinion, kind of show-stopping, and I don't necessarily hear a lot of people talk about this, is the MR-G, or I don't know, I haven't spoken to anyone in the inner circle of Casio or G-Shock, but is it Mr. G or MR-G? I have no idea, but this is what I wanted to talk about, is I do believe that these will definitely become huge. Oh, I'm sorry. He does have like a gas. You know, he does struggle to fart, and I think maybe it's just because, you know, our first son, he was exclusively breastfed for the first. I don't know. I forget. My wife would yell at me, but Jay unfortunately did have to spend a week in the NICU, so he did have formula, and I think that's a big, that's a big deal. Like, just now that I have a little more experience, having two sons, I definitely see how breast milk compared to formula does affect a child, and I could be completely wrong. This is my perception of one. Obviously I'm one person with two sons, or excuse me, one father with two sons, so all I have is my personal experience, but I do see and notice that he does have difficulty digesting. And I think that makes sense to me. It makes sense to me because obviously formula is not, what a mother produces. And I do believe that, we have this kind of natural inclination to what maybe we've been using or consuming for generations or since the beginning of time. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is me trying to formulate my ideas and speak about some watches that truly impress me. So I wanted to go over, I don't see it on here. There was like an 8,000, maybe they cleaned up their lineup, and by clean up I mean like took away the ones that were, there was one model that I read and I was just like, wow, it's an $8,000 G-Shock. But before you start saying, who would spend $8,000 for a G-Shock, I actually read the information. So I don't know but this is absolutely gorgeous as well for $5,500. And look, I'm gonna butcher it, but the gentleman that, first of all, they're very low production, and the titanium is the one that I was looking at had this titanium that was made by this master swordsmith, and I could be completely off. And Jay, I've already butchered my own video, but there was something I wanted to read, and I was looking it up on my phone, so maybe that's my first mistake. But let's see here. Hold on. But anyways, I'm the material and the person who was actually creating, like the items that are there, the bezel, and just the amount of attention to detail, and not only their experimentation with the materials they were using, created a watch that was literally light years, in my opinion, ahead of what is out there. So forget, I know Casio, G-Shock, I know you're not watching my videos, but what I truly, I hope that I can accentuate in what I'm saying right now is that I do believe that these steel G-Shocks are going to be just as dynamically impressive as what Swatch and Omega are doing. So I don't know if you don't follow my channel, my son and I, we were trying to get one of the Swatch Omega. We didn't try that hard because I didn't want to take my 4-year-old son and wait in line for 24 hours. Shout out to the first guy in Las Vegas who got that Swatch Omega watch. Truly impressive that you and your wife were that committed to wait 24 hours in line in order to be the first people to get that watch. I find that very impressive. I really do. But what I'm trying to say is I think that the floodgates have been open, and I think that we're truly starting to see a change, a shift in the watch industry. I think there's so many people that are interested, involved, the same way in 1983 where Swatch kind of revolutionized, transition, changed. I don't know. I don't know how to use words is really what it comes down to. So forgive my inability to use words correctly. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think G-Shock is another watch that can have this appeal in the higher realm of cost. Because if you think about it, most people, I correlate it back to cars because I love cars. And, maybe you start out with a Honda, a Nissan, or Toyota, but, I can't talk. Brand loyalty is a huge thing. So a lot of times those people, I forget where I read this, but usually if someone say they start out with a Toyota, they will, as they get older and as their income goes up, they will migrate to a Lexus. Or the same thing with Honda. They'll move up to an Acura. And the same thing with Nissan. They'll move up to an Infiniti. So I think what I see as very a smart business move as far as Casio and G-Shock are concerned is a lot of people, this is what we forget is that you might have started out with, like a $50 G-Shock or $100 G-Shock, but if you use that or wear it and you're impressed by its performance, over the decades you start to make more money. And that's where I think that these watches, for example, this watch, I think definitely for someone like myself, I owned G-Shocks when I was younger, and I don't have anything negative to say about them. I really don't. For the money, and that's where I think people have to you really have to look at things and compare them equally. If I'm only spending $50 for a watch, of course it's not going to have these exotic metals and these crazy bezels that are, machined or made or hammered by some master swordsmith. So of course, I'm not going to expect the level of attention to detail and the types of materials that are used on this watch. And I think that's where Casio and G-Shock are definitely, they're kind of sleepers. I really think, I haven't really heard any, I haven't gone on YouTube and I haven't looked for, all the videos on this watch, but definitely I feel like this would be something, in my opinion, that I would, if I had the money, I would absolutely buy this watch. I know it's out of stock and it's not available, but yeah, I just wanted to share. Now let me see here. Let me see if I can do this correctly. I just like to make voices because I just like to be silly. So I can give you a close-up or upside down close-up of my watch. There you go. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, we're going to end this video, Dami. Excuse me. It's not Dami, it's Jay. Look. Sometimes I can say the wrong name. No, but there was one, it was so awesome. It was so awesome. And maybe they update. Okay, hold on. I think I'm looking in the wrong place. Limited edition. Here I'm walking. Look, I'm just being casual now. Limited edition. Let's see if it's here. It's probably not going to be here. And shout out to the Bruce Lee one. I don't see that on there either, but here we go. Here it is. Okay. See, I corrected myself. Okay, let me just read this to you because I need to work on my reading. Jay, I want you to know that I need to work on. And shout out to my wife for buying sake. I do like sake in a can. That's amazing. Shout out to Night Swim by Tozai. I hope I said that correctly. Because # Night Swim, swimsuit optional. I always appreciate when people let me know that bathing suits are optional. Okay, now I'm just messing around. Okay, this is very casual, okay? So But here we go. The new limited edition MR-G B 2000 BS-3A is being introduced to mark the 25th anniversary 2021 of the top of the line G-Shock MR-G. Its concept theme is Hana Basara. Excuse me if I say that incorrectly. The term whose root is Basara, which comes from the Sanskrit word for diamond. It has the image of breaking with commonly held beliefs and adopting fashionable and glamorous garments and behavior. During Japan's period of warring states, the warlords who were particularly self-assertive were called Basara Busho, who preferred armor with original and artistic designs. Even during battles, the MR-G concept combines a unique aesthetic conciseness with all the toughness of armor. The Hana part of Hana Basara means ostentatious or brilliant, and this concept is embedded in the elegant bezel of this model. The bezel is finished with, here we go, this is the gentleman I was thinking of. And shout out to anyone who has a first and last name with the same letters. I appreciate that. The bezel is finished by Kazuto Komatsu, a master gem cutter who has developed an extremely complex original mirror facet metal cutting technique. He is also the creator of Hana Shinju facet pearls. The case, band, and back are coated with a traditional Japanese iron color, Kurujana DLC diamond-like carbon coating, which gives this model its main coloring. The iron color is a dark blue-green color produced when armor and swords are heated during their forging. Brown ion plating is used for the cast, while red molding around the face and green around the insert dials produce a calm color combination that is similar to the elegance and beauty of ancient Japanese armor. This is so awesome because it's like, I really feel like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So, gentlemen back in the day who were warriors, I feel like definitely I could see why, and that's the thing is when you go into battle, I believe that you want the best equipment possible. So, in a lot of ways, who knows? Maybe that the concept, I'm just saying the concept of the samurai, it was introduced to me that maybe, that kind of spiritual aspect continued on with the Yakuza. So I don't know if that's true. I mean, I heard that. I could be completely wrong. A plate on the edge of the case at 10 o'clock is engraved with 25th limited to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the MR-G 2021. The Kobarion bezel, which is about 4 times harder than pure titanium, is faceted by master gem cutter, Kazuhito Komatsu, to create a typical bezel shape. Facet cutting combines several small surfaces to maximize the transparency of a gemstone. Machining metal with this method requires a very high level of skill, and Kazuto Komatsu was able to hand grind each bezel at the rate of only a few pieces per day. The case and band are made of DAT55G titanium alloy, which is 3 times harder than pure titanium. This combines with the Kobarion bezel to provide outstanding hardness for the entire watch. The elegance and toughness of this new limited edition model are perfectly suited to the concept of Hana Basara. So, this is the only point I wanted to make. I think this is watch. I can't even talk. When I get excited, I can't even speak correctly. This watch is absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. And I know a lot of people like, and I like to do it too, I like to play my little hypothetical games. If I had $8,000 to spare, and I first and foremost, I want to pay my bills. So if I had all my bills paid and I felt comfortable enough to be like, yo, I'm going to consider spending $8,000 on a watch, man, and this was available. Obviously, it's not. I would absolutely consider this. I would absolutely, and that's the thing that I think Swatch and Omega are bringing to light currently, and with what has happened in the last few days, they're really showing that that there is all these markets that haven't been tapped into. And I think a lot of people say if you are a diehard fan of Rolex or whatever or other brands, I get it. There's a lot of people that will pay triple, quadruple price for a Rolex, but it also opens the door to watches like this that are, in my opinion, absolutely worth the money. The same way that Seiko is absolutely probably worth double what they're asking, in the same way that Omega is really trailblazing into this new world of watches, and I'm very grateful. I really am. I finally feel like that. It's hitting the mainstream, and that's kind of really mixing things up because I feel like there was almost kind of like this cartel concept where if a small group of people can control, these high end luxury watches, they can kind of dictate how the industry progresses. But I feel like that no longer applies because A, you have more women that are interested in watches, and B, you have literally more people who have a lot of money or who have excess income that are able to spend them on watches. So that's all I got for you today. I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me fumble through my little mental journey. And I like to post this stuff. And even if I'm the only one that enjoys it, I appreciate walking through my ideas because I realize that over the course of time I'll get better at speaking. And that's one thing that I learned from look, I don't know. I like to quote presidents or former presidents because I appreciate watching progress. That was no pun intended when I talk about watches. But I remember there was before Bill Clinton became president, he gave a speech when he was governor, and he just totally messed up. He totally messed up, and I remember people just ridiculed him in the media, but he took that to heart, and he humbled himself, and he just worked on his public speaking, and then 4 years later, he became president of the United States. So all I'm saying is, people can attack you and say like you suck, and you're not doing a good job, and you have a lot of holes in your game. And that's fine, and if you take that to heart and you say, you know what, you're absolutely right, and I need to work on these things, I think that's how you can improve. And that's why I've always believed that, you either win or learn something. Really, the only way to lose is to not learn something. So thank you. I love you. Have a blessed day.